the number of people, it has this effect that's not just our old effect, which would be just u tilde prime, but has this multiplier, is that there's sort of a follow-on thing. If we bring some more people into our club, imagine that the marginal people are a bunch of beautiful women. Well, those beautiful women are then going to attract the people who most value having those beautiful women around. Maybe they're, frumpy men. Well, then those frumpy men are going to attract the, are going to repel the beautiful women. And so there's going to be this like cycling process, right? And as that goes through, we get this 1 over 1 minus m times sigma, which represents the infinite series of all that stuff working itself out. Okay, so one thing you could think about is, imagine we have a telecommunications network. If we have, we could have two different dimensions along which people who are on the margin between using the network or not could be differentiated. They could either be like the popular kids and the losers. The popular kids most value having a big network. The losers don't really care. And also people want to talk to the popular kids and don't want to talk to the losers. In that case, sigma is going to be positive, right? On the other hand, they could be telemarketers versus grannies. So the telemarketers most value having a big network, but nobody wants to talk to them. Grannies people want to talk to, but don't value having a big network. In that case, sigma will be negative. Depending on which of these sort of dimensions things line up along, the effect could either be magnified or minimized. Okay. And so then if we take the total derivative of social value with respect to n, we just have, again, price minus cost. Then how much does the characteristic change when we change the number of people? Well, it's k tilde over 1 minus sigma. Then we have to multiply that by the value that people get, which is the number of people times the average value they get. Right? The derivative of profits is, again, price minus the markup minus marginal cost plus the value to the average guys. And so this gives us a simple optimal pricing rule. So the amount that prices below marginal cost is equal to the average value of the marginal people, their average contribution, times the average utility that brings to people, divided by this multiplier thing that we were talking about. And the private value distorts that by marking up over cost and by catering to the marginal consumers rather than the average consumer. So the Spence distortion can either be mitigated or magnified by this sorting effect, depending on whether the sorting effect is positive or negative. On the other hand, if there's no correlation between whether you value a bigger network and how valuable you are to the network, this will be 0, and that'll mean this whole term just becomes u bar prime times n times k tilde, which is exactly the same thing we had before, right? So the key thing is not that people are heterogeneous, but that they're heterogeneous in ways that are correlated with how they value the instrument. And this is a key feature. Everything is driven by this covariance, by which types of things do which type of people like. What's the correlation between your value for some things and the value you contribute? So a great application of this is given by Einov et al. 2011 and applies this logic outside of platforms. So they look at subprime auto loans to diverse consumers, and there's a bunch of different dimensions of subprime auto loans. What's the initial down payment you have to make? What is the interest rate? What is the price that you pay? And while companies can observe people's credit scores, there's lots of different dimensions along which people are heterogeneous that people can't observe. And so changing the down payment can affect the chance that you want to give a loan to this person in two ways. First of all, just directly, if you make them make more of a down payment, they have less debt, and so they're less likely to default. And this is really similar to a lot of the incentive problems you've been doing on your problem sets and that you've been talking about in class. But more importantly, probably, is that people who are cash-strapped, who don't want to make a down payment, are probably unlikely to repay the loan regardless, right? And Einov et al. Look at this in a really nice way because They look at times where companies like changed their prices sort of pretty randomly for different groups of consumers, and found like how that affected the chance of repayment and how the down payment affected that stuff too. And the fascinating thing is that what they find is that actually, even holding fixed the number of consumers you have, you might want to lower the price below some point, because as you raise the price, that just increases the amount of debt people have and increases the chance that they default. So they found the expected profit per consumer as you increase the minimum down payment, even though you're losing customers, it dramatically decreases the probability of default as you increase the down payment, because that sorts for the consumers that are most likely to be able to repay the loan. And so you actually maximize profit even though you're dramatically losing sales and you're not gaining anything in terms of price, just because you're sorting for the consumers that are most likely to repay the loan. So I should let you guys go, but I have one more slide, and anyone who wants to stay, I'll keep talking and do this one more slide. Anyone who wants to go should go. So the basic logic here applies in a wide range of contexts. So if you think about like the optimal amount of media slant, like in the Jenskow and Shapiro analysis, right? It depends not just on, you know, how do I get the most readers, but are the richest people also the most right-wing? If they are, I'm going to want to make more right-wing slants so that I can make more money off of selling them to the advertisers. Soap operas attracting the melodrama-loving women. Credit cards using points and you know, travel services to attract people who use their credit cards the most. Insurers may try to hold down coverage so as to get rid of sick people, because the sick people will value the coverage the most. However, if they drive those sick people to go get insurance somewhere else, that's an externality they have on other companies. And this is called skimming the cream of the healthy clients. You're trying to take them away, the healthy clients, from other insurers by lowering the price and lowering the coverage, because that'll select for the most healthy clients, and you'll look at this on the problem set, but it's called the Rothschild-Stiglitz cream skimming distortion. Colleges make their facilities attractive to the students that they want to try to bring to the university at that time. So University of Chicago is building a lot of like arts facilities because they want to be bringing more artistic students. Goldman Sachs is known to be a hellish place to work initially because they want to drive away people who they don't think are serious about being investment bankers. Intellectual property is more valuable for more valuable products, right? And that's one of the reasons why it's a useful way to reward innovations. And there's many other cases in this. Anyway, the problem set we'll have to explore.